Think you already know everything about the hunt for Red October? 1990? Think again. In today's video, we will explore the 20 weirdest weird facts about the film, from a crew member who nearly fell into the deep sea, to the risky scenes filmed behind the camera, all the way to one detail that appeared on screen and years later gave viewers goosebumps because it seemed to have accidentally revealed the future. Watch until the end, because the final fact may make you see this movie in a completely different way. Leave a comment if you are ready to explore with me. Number 20. The haunting Russian hymn in the opening. From the very first minutes, The Hunt for Red October pulled audiences into a tense atmosphere with the Russian choral piece Hymn to the Red October, one of the most impressive works by composer Basil Polidorus. The melody sounds like an old Soviet Navy hymn, both majestic and filled with an uneasy feeling. But in reality, the entire piece was composed by Basil Polidorus specifically for the film. From the moment the first choral voices begin, the audience is taken straight into the world behind the Iron Curtain. Even before the very first line of dialogue, Polidorus understood that sometimes music can tell a story more powerfully than dialogue. Even today, many fans still get goosebumps whenever that melody begins. It is not just an outstanding opening piece of music, but also proof that the right music can become the soul of an entire film. Number 19. Sean Connery was not the first choice for the role of Ramius. Imagine The Hunt for Red October without Sean Connery's distinctive voice echoing through the command room. It is hard to believe, but that almost happened. Originally, the role of Captain Marco Ramius was given to Austrian actor Klaus Maria Brandauer.
Very, very early on, there was talk of casting Klaus Maria Brandauer in that part.
He had even tried on the costume and taken part in rehearsals. But an unexpected injury forced Brandauer to withdraw, leaving the filmmakers scrambling to find a replacement. Interestingly, it was Brandauer himself who suggested his friend, who had starred with him in Never Say Never Again, for the role. That friend was Sean Connery. Coincidentally, later that same year, the two appeared together again in the film The Russia House. One injury accidentally changed the history of The Hunt for Red October. And even today, it is hard to imagine anyone better suited than Sean Connery for the role of Captain Ramius. Number 18. A real mutiny inspired The Hunt for Red October. Before Tom Clancy became a legendary name, he was just an insurance salesman with an ambitious idea.
Representing this new writer, Tom Clancy, and I began to negotiate an option for the rights to the book.
He happened to read about an event that took place in 1975 aboard the Soviet frigate Storozhevoy, where political officer Valery Sablin seized control of the ship and tried to launch a new revolution. However, the Soviet government concealed the true nature of the incident and portrayed it as an attempted defection.
British intelligence obtained these pictures 2 days ago. She's the Red October, the latest Typhoon class.
That version became the foundation for Clancy to build his story, which eventually became his first novel published by Naval Institute Press. A real mutiny, distorted by propaganda, and then transformed into a submarine thriller. That was the beginning of the story that became The Hunt for Red October. It was quite an impressive achievement for someone who once made a living as an insurance salesman. But that is still not the strangest part. Number 17. Kevin Costner once turned down the role of Jack Ryan. Long before Alec Baldwin became Jack Ryan on screen, the role had actually been intended for one of the biggest stars in Hollywood at the time, Kevin Costner.
I'd gotten quite friendly with Kevin Costner, and I went to Kevin about playing Jack Ryan, but Kevin was...
Producer Mace Neufeld was a big fan of Costner and considered him the ideal choice for the leading role. But at that very time, Costner was busy working on another project, so he had to turn down the offer. Ironically, that decision became a major turning point for both sides. The film Costner chose was Dances with Wolves, which later went on to win big at the Academy Awards. Meanwhile, the unexpected opportunity went to Alec Baldwin, who made an impressive debut as Jack Ryan thanks to The Hunt for Red October. That is how Hollywood often works. One person's rejection becomes another person's career breakthrough. And interestingly, Jack Ryan was not the only character this film helped elevate to a whole new level. The next names are even more remarkable. Number 16. The filmmaking technique that shifted the characters from Russian to English. At the beginning of the film, the entire Soviet crew speaks Russian, but in just one moment, the film quietly shifts to English, without almost any interruption to the viewer's immersion.
John McTiernan was directing Predator, so I went over to, I believe it was Fox.
It was an incredibly subtle filmmaking technique by director John McTiernan. As the political officer reads a passage aloud, the camera slowly moves in toward his mouth and stops on a single word. By the time the camera pulls back, all the characters are suddenly speaking English as if nothing has changed. The audience's brain accepts the transition almost instantly. As a result, viewers are able to follow the Soviet characters throughout the film without having to read subtitles for 2 straight hours. Interestingly, most viewers do not even notice that transition the first time they watch the film. This is exactly the kind of subtle, almost invisible filmmaking technique that separates a good director from a great one. Pay close attention to this detail the next time you watch the film. Once you notice it, you will never be able to ignore it again. Number 15. An engine so realistic that it worried the United States Congress. The Red October's secret weapon was not its missiles or torpedoes, but the Caterpillar drive, an extremely quiet magnetic propulsion system that allowed the submarine to almost disappear from sonar detection. It sounds like science fiction, but when Tom Clancy's novel was released, the idea seemed so realistic that many people believed it was real. Some members of the United States Congress were even reported to have contacted the CIA to ask why the Soviet Union possessed silent technology that surpassed the United States Navy.
First to sail was this ship, we believe called the Red October, in reference to the October Revolution of 1917.
The answer turned out to be surprisingly simple. The Soviet Union had never built it. The entire Caterpillar drive was created by Tom Clancy, who combined real principles of physics with remarkably clever reasoning. Although it was completely fictional, the technology still managed to confuse even people with access to classified information. When an imagined idea makes the United States Congress start asking questions, you know Tom Clancy did an extraordinary amount of research. Number 14. The admiral who later became a real United States senator. Admiral Painter, who delivered many memorable lines in the film, was played by Fred Dalton Thompson. But what made him truly remarkable had nothing to do with his acting. He did not just play a powerful man on screen. He later became one of the most influential figures in American politics. Originally a lawyer, Fred Dalton Thompson was elected to the United States Senate and later even ran for president. Perhaps that is why his commanding presence in the film feels so natural and convincing. That same presence led Thompson to be cast repeatedly as judges, government officials, and military generals in many other films. Very few supporting actors from The Hunt for Red October had such an impressive real-life journey. From Hollywood to American politics, his career took a path that few people could have imagined. And perhaps that is why every time Fred Dalton Thompson appeared on screen, viewers felt that he truly was the one in command. Number 13. The submarine sounds were inspired by Disneyland. Those haunting creaks, metallic noises, and piercing sounds echoing through the submarine's hull came from a source that almost no one would expect. Part of them came from the place known as the happiest place on Earth. Sound designer Frank Serafine reportedly used several sounds associated with attractions at Disneyland, including the mechanical screeches of the Space Mountain roller coaster, to create the tense soundscape of submarines under enormous pressure deep beneath the sea. That is the magic of filmmaking. The suspense that keeps audiences on the edge of their seats was actually created from sounds that originated in a theme park. Because the sonar system is the heart of the entire film, every sound had to feel authentic and full of danger. So the next time you hear the submarine bulkheads groaning in the darkness, remember that they may carry a little bit of roller coaster DNA. Number 12. The admiral who connected multiple generations of Jack Ryan. Over the decades, the character of Jack Ryan has been portrayed by several different actors. First came Alec Baldwin, followed by Harrison Ford and many other actors in the years that followed.
So we flew him out, we read him, McTiernan loved him, and we decided we'd take a chance on the young Alec Baldwin.
Although the lead actor kept changing, one man quietly connected the early Jack Ryan films. That was James Earl Jones as Admiral James Greer. With his unmistakable deep voice and commanding presence, he continued to play Greer alongside both Alec Baldwin and Harrison Ford, becoming the familiar link that tied the franchise together across generations. No matter who played the lead role, Admiral Greer was always there as a trusted mentor who believed in Jack Ryan and stood by his side. For many fans, James Earl Jones was the true soul of the early Jack Ryan films. And do not forget, he was also the legendary voice behind some of the most iconic characters in film history. Very few actors could bring the same sense of authority and stability to a thriller the way James Earl Jones did. Number 11. The cast had real military backgrounds. This was not a cast of Hollywood stars who simply put on military uniforms and pretended to salute. Sean Connery had served in the Royal Navy. Scott Glenn had served in the United States Marine Corps. James Earl Jones had served in the United States Army. Those military backgrounds gave the film a sense of authenticity that can be felt in every scene.
James Earl decided to come on this film. Every major actor in California.
To prepare for their roles, the actors spent time aboard real submarines to become familiar with the environment and the daily lives of submariners. Sean Connery was even given symbolic command while on board, allowing him to give orders as the real captain stood nearby, ready to step in if necessary. The military experience was real, the submarines were real, and the sense of responsibility was real.
I was really pleased when Sean came aboard, because aside from being a great actor,
that is also one of the reasons why The Hunt for Red October is still regarded as one of the most authentic and convincing submarine films ever made. Number 10. The mistake that almost cost the film a legend. When Sean Connery first received the script, he almost turned down The Hunt for Red October. The Berlin Wall was coming down, the Cold War was drawing to a close, and Connery believed the story had already become outdated before filming had even begun. In his view, audiences would probably no longer be interested in a film centered on the conflict between the United States and the Soviet Union. What he did not know was that the studio had accidentally failed to fax him on the first page of the script. The page explaining that the film was set in 1984, before Mikhail Gorbachev changed the course of world events.
He came back with this book from the Naval Institute Press, and it was The Hunt for Red October.
Because of one missing page, the film almost lost its greatest asset. After finally reading the complete opening of the script, Connery immediately changed his mind and agreed to join the film. He was even reported to have needed only 1 day of rehearsal to completely master the role of Captain Marco Ramius. One missing page of the script almost cost The Hunt for Red October its most iconic star. Number 9. The scene of Jack Ryan being lowered onto the submarine was actually filmed on land. One of the most breathtaking scenes in the film is when Jack Ryan is lowered from a helicopter onto the deck of the USS Dallas as it pitches in rough seas. The scene looks incredibly dangerous. But the truth is that the entire sequence was filmed in a parking lot. Filming took place at a naval base on land. Using editing techniques and visual effects, the dry pavement was turned into a rolling ocean, making audiences believe they were watching a life and death stunt over icy waters. When looking down through the helicopter door
Of the helicopter looking down at me hanging there, and we disengage the pin and you see me fall away from the camera into the water.
in reality, below was nothing more than solid ground under the California sun. It is a perfect example of how filmmaking can deceive our eyes. The audience feels the danger, while the filmmakers create a completely convincing illusion. If you are enjoying these fascinating facts, press like, leave a comment telling us which fact surprised you the most, and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss our next journey of discovery. Now, let's head back to the depths of the ocean. Number 8. The 3 submarines were distinguished by color in a remarkably subtle way. A film with multiple submarines always faces the same challenge. Inside the cramped, dimly lit compartments, every submarine can easily look the same, leaving the audience confused. To solve that problem, the filmmakers used an incredibly subtle visual technique that most viewers never noticed. Instead of making the submarines look identical, they gave each one its own color palette so the audience could recognize them naturally. The Red October is always surrounded by cool blue tones. The United States submarine USS Dallas stands out with warm red lighting. Meanwhile, Captain Tupolev's submarine is identified by its distinctive green tones. Even if you are not consciously paying attention, your brain quietly remembers that color pattern. As a result, the submarine chases remain clear and easy to follow, even in dark and confined spaces. That is what makes carefully crafted films so special. They guide the audience through tiny details that few people ever notice. And when you watch The Hunt for Red October again, you will appreciate even more the level of care the filmmakers put into every frame. Number 7. The United States Navy opened its doors to the filmmakers. You cannot fake a nuclear submarine in a truly convincing way, so the filmmakers decided to go to the one place that could provide the greatest level of authenticity. The United States Navy gave them significant access and even allowed the crew to photograph non-classified areas aboard real attack submarines so they could build more accurate sets and props. Interestingly, some of the sailors seen aboard the USS Dallas were not actors at all. They were real submariners. Their presence gave the film a naturally claustrophobic and lifelike feel. Every gauge, every narrow passageway, and every shouted command carried the unmistakable atmosphere of real military life. It also showed just how seriously the filmmakers took the authenticity of the film. Number 6. A line of dialogue accidentally touched on a military secret. During the intense chase through an undersea canyon, the American crew repeatedly mentions a rather unusual term, miligal anomalies. To most viewers, it is simply a technical line meant to make the film feel more authentic. But to some experts and people in the defense field, the detail was considered significant enough to attract attention. It brought to mind gravimetry, a technology that uses extremely small variations in gravity for navigation and positioning without transmitting active sonar. At the time, the ability to measure gravity with that level of precision was considered an extremely sensitive project, protected by strict secrecy and requiring enormous funding. What is remarkable is that a single passing line of dialogue may have accidentally referred to a technology that the public at the time did not even know existed. No one knows whether it came from inside information or was simply an incredibly lucky guess. That also reflects what is so unusual about The Hunt for Red October. Time and again, it accidentally touched on real secrets, and that is part of what has made the film legendary to this day. Number 5. The Cold War ended while the film was being made. There is a remarkable historical coincidence connected to the production of The Hunt for Red October. While the filmmakers were shooting the movie, the world was witnessing events that were changing history. The Berlin Wall fell in 1989, and by the time the film was released in March 1990, the Soviet Union had already begun to collapse. That placed the filmmakers in a very real situation. Their Cold War film could become outdated the moment it reached theaters. Instead of turning the film into a story criticizing the Soviet Union, they chose to focus on people. It is the story of one man who decides to defect, one government determined to hunt him down, and another government trying to help him. Director John McTiernan once said that this is a story about the sea, not a political film.
When John McTiernan first came aboard, he had a vision of the script which was much closer to the book.
Perhaps that choice is exactly what has allowed The Hunt for Red October to remain compelling to this day, even though the Cold War has become history. Number 4. A remarkable detail. The political officer was named Putin. This is perhaps the fact that gives people the biggest goosebumps. The scheming political officer aboard the Red October, the man who confronts Captain Ramius at the beginning of the film, is named Ivan Putin, played by Peter Firth. Stop and think about that for a moment. The film was released in 1990, nearly a decade before a little-known former KGB officer named Vladimir Putin rose to lead Russia. Yet a film about a Soviet submarine featured a political officer with the surname Putin, years before that name became famous around the world. Of course, it was only a coincidence. Tom Clancy wrote the novel many years before Vladimir Putin became a name known across the globe. But out of countless possible surnames, the film happened to choose the very one that would later become associated with one of the most influential figures of the 21st century. Sometimes history seems to whisper before it speaks. Number 3. A stunt performer really almost got hurt during filming. Filming aboard real submarines did not just bring authenticity, it also came with real danger. During production, there was a moment that almost turned into a disaster. In the scene where Jack Ryan is lowered from a helicopter onto a submarine, a stunt performer was suddenly thrown out of position when his safety harness malfunctioned. The crew immediately shouted, "Man overboard!" For a few tense seconds, everything nearly came to a stop. Fortunately, he did not fall into the water below. Instead, he landed on part of the submarine's structure. Although he was badly shaken, he was safe. After the incident, he was fitted with a Navy-approved safety harness, and the scene was finally completed. It is a reminder that the authenticity seen on screen sometimes comes at the cost of real danger behind the camera. When you film on real military equipment, things do not always go according to plan. Number 2. The doctor from Star Trek was also Jack Ryan's wife. If you blink, you might miss one of the film's most interesting casting details. The role of Caroline, Jack Ryan's wife, was played by Gates McFadden. However, most audiences know her best as Dr. Beverly Crusher aboard the Starship Enterprise in Star Trek: The Next Generation. Interestingly, during that same period, she was caring for a Starship crew in deep space on television, while appearing on the big screen in a Cold War thriller set beneath the ocean. It is a small detail, but one that always delights fans whenever they notice it. Two completely different journeys, one exploring deep space, the other exploring the depths of the ocean, yet both featuring the same familiar face. Perhaps that is why every time you rewatch your favorite films, you always have a chance to discover fascinating details you missed before. Number 1. Alec Baldwin once felt invisible standing beside Sean Connery. Standing next to Sean Connery was intimidating for any actor, and Alec Baldwin was no exception. As a rising young star, he quickly realized just how powerful the legendary actor's presence was. At one point, Baldwin was reportedly very frustrated on set. He worried that he would be completely overshadowed in the very film that was expected to make him a star. Baldwin shared those concerns with director John McTiernan. McTiernan helped restore his confidence, and Sean Connery always treated his younger co-star with respect and support. After overcoming that pressure, Baldwin delivered a performance that took his career to a whole new level.
Alec is really, really a committed actor, and there is nothing that Alec won't do in order to make something believable.
It is a very human side of Hollywood. Even rising stars have moments of doubt and insecurity. Perhaps that is exactly what made the chemistry between Baldwin and Connery on screen feel so natural. So, we have just explored 20 fascinating weird facts about the hunt for Red October, 1990. Out of all the behind-the-scenes secrets and little-known details we covered today, which fact surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We would love to hear what you think. If you enjoy weird facts, behind-the-scenes stories, never-before-revealed secrets, and hidden details about classic Hollywood films, do not forget to press like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss our next exciting videos. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Your support is the motivation that keeps us searching, researching, and bringing you the most fascinating stories from the history of cinema. We wish you good health, happiness, and we will see you in the next video.